All right, folks, let's talk crypto. It's confusing, right? Like trying to understand a pigeon's explanation of the internet. And a big part of that confusion comes from the fact that nobody seems to know who's in charge of regulating this wild west of digital dough. On one side, we've got the Securities and Exchange Commission, the Sheriff of Wall Street, convinced that most cryptocurrencies are actually securities, like stocks or bonds. On the other side, there's the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, the regulator of commodities like oil and wheat, arguing that some cryptocurrencies are, well, commodities. It's like watching your parents argue over who left the oven on, except the oven is the entire financial system. This regulatory tug of war creates a lot of uncertainty for everyone involved, investors, businesses, and even the regulators themselves. Imagine trying to play a game where the referees can't agree on the rules. That's basically the state of crypto regulation right now. But fear not, dear viewers, because Congress might have just thrown a life preserver into this sea of confusion. A new bill making its way through the legislative labyrinth aims to bridge the gap between the SEC and CFTC and bring some much-needed clarity to the crypto Wild West. This bill proposes the creation of a Joint Asset Advisory Committee, a fancy name for a group of experts tasked with sorting out this regulatory mess. The bill, sponsored by, well, frankly, it doesn't really matter who sponsored it. Because, let's be honest, most of these politicians probably think Bitcoin is something you mine in Minecraft. What matters is that this bill has bipartisan support, which in today's political climate is about as rare as finding a sober person at a college fraternity party. The idea behind the committee is simple. Get the SEC and CFTC in a room with some smart people and make them talk to each other, like a family therapy session, but with fewer tears and hopefully more progress. Now, you might be wondering, who are these so-called experts? Well, buckle up because it's about to get bureaucratic in here. The proposed committee would consist of 20 members, carefully chosen to represent a diverse range of perspectives. 10 members would come from the financial technology industry because, let's face it, they actually understand how this stuff works. Another 10 members would represent consumer protection groups, academics, and the SEC and CFTC themselves. It's like a regulatory boy band. You've got your fintech heartthrobs, your consumer protection intellectuals, and, of course, the SEC and CFTC bad boys. The committee's main job would be to advise the SEC and CFTC on how to distinguish between digital assets that are securities and those that are commodities. They'll also be tasked with recommending a clear regulatory framework for the crypto industry, something that's sorely needed. Section 4. The long road ahead from bill to law. Of course, passing a bill in Congress is like trying to herd cats while riding a unicycle on a tightrope. It's messy, unpredictable, and there's a good chance someone's going to get scratched. The bill still needs to go through various committees and votes before it can become law. If it does pass, the SEC and CFTC will have 90 days to establish the committee and another 180 days to start implementing its recommendations. So don't expect this regulatory fog to clear anytime soon. Section 5, a history of discord, SEC versus CFTC on crypto. To understand why this bill is a big deal, we need to take a trip down memory lane, back to the early days of Bitcoin. Remember when it was just a niche internet currency used to buy illegal stuff online? Simpler times, really. Back then, The SEC and CFTC mostly ignored crypto, like it was that weird kid in high school who wore a trench coat in the summer. But as crypto grew in popularity and value, both agencies started to take notice, and that's when the trouble began. The SEC, led by Chairman Gary Gensler, a man who seems to view crypto with the same suspicion your grandma reserves for telemarketers, has argued that most cryptocurrencies are securities. Why? Because they resemble investments in companies or projects and therefore should be subject to the same rules as stocks and bonds. The CFTC, on the other hand, has taken a more nuanced approach, arguing that some cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ether are commodities because they are more akin to gold or oil, things that are traded based on their value rather than their potential to generate profits for investors. This fundamental disagreement has led to a regulatory gray area, with both agencies claiming jurisdiction over certain aspects of the crypto market. It's like watching two dogs fight over a chew toy, except the chew toy is worth billions of dollars, and the dogs are government agencies. This regulatory uncertainty has stifled innovation and made it difficult for businesses to operate in the crypto space. It's also created confusion for investors, who are left wondering which rules apply to which cryptocurrencies. A simple kindness click to subscribe, share, and follow will help our mission help us help them with donations from YouTube. Stay updated and be part of something bigger today by a simple act of a kindness click.